ESPN dropped a brand new 7-round mock draft. So we're going to react to that mock draft, see the picks they made for your Denver Broncos, and then I'll give you my thoughts and analysis throughout the mock draft. But if you want more mock draft videos, hit the thumbs up button. I just want to get a pulse of everyone watching right now to give you guys what you are looking for. So if this is the kind of content you want on your feed, hit that thumbs up button. Now, let's start with a bit of a primer of what picks Denver has to work with in this year's draft. After trading Jerry Jeudy, they acquired an additional 5th and a 6th from the Cleveland Browns, and that brings their pick total up to 8 picks. Now, with the mock draft underway, the Denver Broncos have picked up the phone and have made a trade. That's right. In this Matt Miller mock draft, the Broncos are not waiting until pick number 12. No, they are jumping all the way up to the 4th overall pick with the Arizona Cardinals, giving up their first-round pick this year, a swap, and 2 additional firsts. Very similar to the Trey Lance trade, where San Francisco went from 12 to 3. So one spot better, and that cost them 2 future firsts and a 3rd-round pick. So it was quite a haul from San Francisco to move up with Miami, and I think just 2 additional firsts might even be on the bit of a lighter side when it comes to 12 to 4. I would expect a day 2 or a day 3 pick to be tossed in, but this is a good baseline at least for what could it cost to move up. We're talking swapping picks this year, of course, next year's first, and the year after that. 2 future firsts. And for that reason, I would not do this trade. I'm not afraid of trading up to go in and get your guy. I don't mind giving up assets and currency, and that's what draft picks are. They are currency to GMs, right? In their own little market, that's what they spend to get the players they want. If there's a guy you love, then yeah. But for me, I don't think the timing is right, and I don't think history is on your side. And those 2 reasons I just can't get past. Let's start the history. Look at the last 10 years or so, going back to RG3 to the Redskins. It has never really gone well when teams have given up heaven and earth to move up in the draft. Would anyone say the Panthers would do it all over again if they got the chance to undo it? Probably not. Did Trey Lance work with the 49ers? No, an epic failure. Jared Goff to the Rams may be the best one. And the funny thing about that one is I think Rams fans and the Rams, front office would do that trade again, even though everyone from that trade I think is gone by now, but still, because that player Jared Goff landed them Matthew Stafford, who eventually actually got them a Super Bowl ring. So that's the best you got here. You were able to trade up for a player that you were able to trade later to get the quarterback that you really wanted. Carson Wentz didn't work out, and RG3, primarily because of injuries, did not work out. So history says it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. And for that reason alone, I should be out. But then I've got more to tack on to it. Now, if you're curious how the rest of the top 10 shook out, you had Caleb Williams go number 1, no surprise. Jaden Daniels go 2. The Vikings actually jumped the Broncos. They traded with the New England Patriots. They got Drake May at number 3. Somehow Marvin Harrison falls to the Chargers at 5. That seems like a crime with Justin Herbert. Malik Neighbors is a Giant. Joe Alt goes to Tennessee. Dallas Turner to Atlanta. Roma Dunze falls to the Bears. And then Brock Bowers, he goes to the New York Jets. So for the history element to this, I'm not eager to see the Broncos trade up. But it's not even so much about that alone. For me, I don't think JJ McCarthy as a prospect is ready to take on a franchise that hasn't had a first-round pick since they got Patrick Surtain and won't have another first-round pick for the next 2 years. He will be the only first-round pick in this franchise's history for 5 seasons. I don't think JJ is ready to overcome the hurdles that come as being the only first-round pick in a team for 5 years, right? I just don't think from a prospect level he is that talented enough to defy the odds and raise and elevate everyone around him without having some first-round picks to come his way. I just don't think it's going to end well. So would you do this trade? Give up 2 future firsts to move up to 4th overall and select JJ McCarthy. I'm typing D for decline. JJ McCarthy may turn out to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I don't think under these circumstances he would be successful in Denver, though. This is a team that doesn't have the greatest roster as it is. He needs to go somewhere where I think he should sit for a season. I don't think he's ready to start in 2024 in the NFL. You move up to 4th overall, unlike the 49ers who had Jimmy Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham isn't some great quarterback that can hold down the fort for a few seasons. No, you'd be tossing JJ out there, and then if it doesn't go well, bad news, there's no reinforcements. There's nothing coming in the draft next year or the year after that when it comes to first-round picks. So for me, I'm out. Now, what I'm not out on is getting game time. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Spring is here, which means we've got some baseball to watch finally, along with playoff basketball and hockey. You shouldn't have to miss any of the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events. So if you are looking to go see a March Madness game, a Rockies game, an Avs game, a Nuggets game, or any other sporting event, concert, comedy show in your local area, download the Game Time app, use that code right there on screen, Chat Sports, and when you put that in, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Chat Sports for $20 off your first purchase. Depending on the time you're watching this, I'm at a baseball game for opening day, and thanks to Game Time, they covered a $20 discount, which basically means they paid for my first run to the concession stand. So be like me and go download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Fast forward to round 3 in this 7-round mock draft. Broncos back on the clock, and this time they go cornerback out of Kentucky, Andru Phillips. So here's what Matt Miller had to say on the Kentucky DB. Phillips is often typecast as a nickel corner, but I think he has the length and speed to do just fine on the outside. Playing opposite Pat Surtain would help this transition. And I don't have strong feelings on Phillips as a prospect, but to me, when we're looking at Denver's cornerback room, if you're even on the fence about the guy being a nickel corner, that's not the type of corner to approach. Denver's got one of the best nickel corners in the NFL right now in Jaquan McMillan. He's a hidden gem, a UDFA that balled out last year. If you want to go get a cornerback, go get an outside cornerback, and not one that you think might be an okay outside corner. That is the only spot you really need in this cornerback room. So for that reason, I'm not in love with this pick either. Moving on, round number 4, pick 121. Matt Miller had Denver going with wide receiver Luke McCaffrey, of course, a Denver area legend and whatnot, the son of Ed McCaffrey and the brother of Christian McCaffrey. He started his collegiate career off at Nebraska, hopped around a little bit, ended down in Houston with the Rice Owls, where last year he put up 992 yards and 13 touchdowns. In fact, during his collegiate career, I think he put up 26 touchdowns the last 2 years alone, some ridiculous number like that. So he's got a knack for finding the end zone. Give him credit for that. Now, when you look at Denver's wide receiver room, they just added Josh Reynolds. So I do think that probably decreases the urgency to get a wide receiver earlier in this draft. But it's not like Josh Reynolds is a long-term piece. Courtland Sutton is approaching the, I wouldn't say end of his time in Denver necessarily, but it's just a little bit up in the air, let's put it, right? And Marvin Mims is the only guy that I can confidently say will be here for the next 3 seasons. So I don't mind going after a wide receiver with this pick. And I think, I was about to say Ed McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey could be a really solid gadget-type player, and that could be a fun addition to this Broncos offense. Moving on here. 3 picks in round number 5. Let's just knock them out one by one. 136, 145, 147. With the 136 pick, the Broncos went linebacker Marist Liufanu out of Notre Dame. 44 tackles last season, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble. This seems like a good just overall need pick. Josie Jewell left in free agency. You signed Cody Barton to a 1-year deal. You're not really sure if Drew Sanders is an inside or an outside linebacker. Alex Singleton signed, a 3-year extension when he came back last offseason. So he's got 2 years left on that deal. I think reloading at inside linebacker is a pretty safe play in round number 5. Then you've got Georgia center or offensive lineman Sedrick Van Pran. Listen, when it comes to the offensive line, if there is one spot that needs help, it's the interior. You lost Lloyd Cushenberry to free agency. You're hoping Alex Forsythe or Luke Wattenberg is ready to take a bigger step in 2024. But if they're not, it's a good idea to have some level of insurance at that spot. So I like this pick for the Broncos at 145. Then at 147, they went running back Isaiah Davis out of South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. Just by South Dakota Jackrabbits name alone, I'm pretty much on board with this pick. It just sounds like Isaiah Davis is one fast motherfucker. So for that reason, I'm in. Now here's how the rest of the mock draft shook out. In round number 6, offensive lineman Trenton Jones out of Michigan. And then in round number 7, defensive tackle Marcus Harris out of Auburn. So you can see Matt Miller is forecasting a lot of investment in the trenches, which if you're trying to do a little bit of a rebuild, and that's what Denver's doing, the trenches are a good place to start. You don't want to have some good quarterback or wide receiver that can't get the ball out of his hands because the offensive line can't hold the block. And you don't want to have an okay offense, but a defense that can't get off the field because they are bullied at the line of scrimmage. So I think investing in the trenches is a wise decision for Denver in day 3 of the draft. So how would you grade Matt Miller's mock draft? Let me know down in the comments section what letter grade you would give it. A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give it D+. I mean, for starters, you've got one pick in the top 75. That alone is a difficult hand to work with. I don't like trading up for JJ McCarthy when I don't think he is ready to start in the NFL this year, and he is not going to be surrounded in an excellent situation, and it's not going to get any easier because you gave up your next 2 first-round picks to get him. To me, it seems like it's going to be a disaster, and unfortunately for JJ, it may not work out in Denver, and it may not be all his fault, but it'll be because of the situation he was brought in, and it didn't look like there was any reinforcements or improvements coming on his way. So that alone is really going to tank my grade here. And then when you pick again at 76, your only other pick in the top 100, you draft a spot that you already have a starter at Jaquan McMillan. So you have 2 backup nickel. That's how you want to use your second pick in the draft? No, D+ grade for me. All right, before we get on out of here, I do want to go back to our 21 reasons for reaching 21,000 subscribers to be optimistic for 2024. Reason number 11, you already beat Kansas City. You got the monkey off your back. You took down the Chiefs at home. Now you don't have to worry about that number growing and growing every single time you play them and being told you haven't beat the Chiefs since Barack Obama was president. Reason number 10, it's highlight reel Jaleel time. Javonte Williams, I wouldn't say came back too soon last year, but he looked very far from what we saw in his rookie season and up until he got hurt against the Raiders in 2022. But another UDFA, one of Denver's greatest claims to fame. They can always find great players after the draft, and he looks like the real deal. Reason number 9, Garrett Bowles is just a lockdown left tackle. Is he a top 5 left tackle? Probably not. But is he a left tackle that can hold his own and not be a liability and can keep the quarterback upright? Yes. And he played like it last year coming off a broken leg. So you know that the left side of your offensive line is going to be secure. Reason number 8, Jaquan McMillan. Like just what I said earlier, coincidentally in this video, he is one of the rising corners in this game. He was a takeaway machine last year. I love what Denver has in yet another UDFA. Yeah, Jaquan McMillan, excellent player to be excited for this upcoming season. And then reason number 7, Tim Patrick returns. The Broncos get Timmy P back, the glue man. And whether it works out or not in terms of great production out of him, you can at least be excited for Patrick to get back on the field after battling a torn ACL and then a torn Achilles, or torn Achilles and torn ACL in back-to-back off seasons. That just sucks. It's a brutal stretch for him in his career, but I'm excited for him to get back on the field. That will do it for us on this edition of the Broncos Breakdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, consider subscribing.